Yeah. Right, off your phones, lads. Fucking hell.
Well, no, I need my list for...
Oh, yeah, I need a list as well. On your phone, lads.
Asshole.
Everyone on silent.
Jesus motherfucking Christ.
Wait, let me just get off Twitter. Everyone on silent, yeah?
Well, yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, let's go.
It's gonna be a fucking soft open, like your mum.
Hey. Right, go.
What's up, everybody?
My mother listens to this.
That's gonna have to be in now.
Yeah, no, it is. That was my point. That's why I dashed in with it. You are listening to Gachapod.
Good Gachapod.
Good Gachapod.
This is new.
Yeah,
There it is.
where every episode we pop a coin into the pop culture machine, turn that crank, and see what fucking falls out of it.
Intro needs work.
No, it does not, man.
Do you wonder how long Drew sat there as well, like with a piece of paper?
Crank machine. I don't know.
How many? Yeah, sure.
Well, my original idea was to say that we're going to use our word penises to fuck their ear pussies, but I didn't think you'd like that.
I like that. That's sexual.
I'll
My
try
mother
that
listens to this now.
Hi, Matt's mum.
Oh, yeah, they do, don't they?
Yeah.
She's a lovely woman.
She is.
She's great.
Yeah, cool. We're going to be doing another relaxed episode today where we thought we'd jump on that fucking bandwagon that every
Bandwagon?
other... Bandwagon, yeah. Oh, I'm just so horny at the moment. That's the problem.
We've all loosened.
Oh boy.
It's because we've all loosened our belts because it's a loose fit.
That's what it is, yeah.
Yeah.
We're sitting here in our negligees, just feeling comfortable.
It's very sexy.
It's always sexy.
Steamer. It's like Keith Lee's abs. Not Keith Lee. Pat Lee.
Keith Lee?
Keith Lee's a rapper. Jesus.
You wouldn't guess that we just spent an hour talking about the man.
Yeah.
You remembered part of his name.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The smallest part,
Yeah, we're going to have a bit of a chat today about the games of the decade because we didn't think any of the podcasts were really touching on important games of the past 10 years.
Happy New Year.
I've said before, nothing is quite as important as the opinions of three white men in their 30s. So, yeah, we thought we'd kind of take... it was 5 games each. We'll kind of take it in turns to...
I wrote 100.
I don't think I played 100. I'm a busy man.
I did.
I probably did over the course of 10 years. I don't know.
Yeah, easily.
Maybe. I should preface by saying that a lot of mine are fairly backloaded as far as the decade's concerned, but I think that's just the nature of the way that I was playing games, where I was in 2010 versus where I am at the beginning of 2020. I don't know if you guys want to briefly touch on kind of where you were in 2010, how old you were, what you guys were doing, where you were in life.
What was I doing?
I was early 20s at university.
Yeah, same.
Studying
So we're both at
film
uni still?
production. Yeah, still at uni.
So just that perfect meeting of income, of student loan being dropped into your account,
Absolutely.
meets plethora of free time and lack of responsibility, just means you can just fart money into a games console and
When we're getting a loan and walking home with a PlayStation.
There you go.
A PlayStation console, loads of games. Bumped into Kasabian on the way. I was like, you're right.
I got a PlayStation. But also you're at that point where, you know, it's the video games industry, so everything they're making is aimed at us men in our early 20s, and you know, I mean, weirdly, I was kind of studying the arts. I'd kind of finished. I'd finished studying the arts, and I'd moved back to Leicester, where I'm originally from, and I owned an Xbox, but I didn't really play any games on it. I was kind of not playing so much, really. It wasn't until 2013 where I got a PS3, like the year the PlayStation 4 came out, and I was like, fuck me, there's a lot of games here that I want to play that I haven't played, and just kind of started to hack away at the backlog a little bit. And then kind of as it went on, I got a PS4, and everything else in that kind of the back half of the decade was much more about gaming as a hobby and stuff. So like I say, my list will, for the most part, appear to have stuff from the past 5 years rather than the past 10, but that's just because the way I played games and the way they impacted me, it was those years where I was actively playing, I think. So, yeah, I don't know who wants to go first, if anybody's got any honourable mentions maybe before we hit the list.
We need to go with Dan's list first, to be
You wanna
honest.
go with mine?
Well, I think
Because
if we take one at a time and we go in turn.
Yeah,
we'll
that
take
works.
turns.
We're going 5 to 1.
Yeah, we'll go 5 to
Yeah,
1. I
right.
don't know if there's any honourable mentions you want to make beforehand that didn't make the list. There's a couple that I'd like to mention that didn't make my top 5, but were still very important games to me that I enjoyed very much.
Well, I'll start with that. I'm not the hugest gamer ever.
No.
Um,
This is why I assumed his top 5 would be Football Manager 2006.
yeah. Well,
Wait,
2006 was the
2016.
first one I ever played.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh,
actually,
okay.
Saying that. No, you see, a lot of my time has been on Football Manager, which
Football Manager.
I was told in the
FIFA,
in the
Football
chat. No, I
Manager.
don't like FIFA.
Let's keep this
I
a
don't like
judge-free
FIFA.
Oh, okay.
space,
Yeah,
Matthew.
thank you.
Let's-
Thank you. We've got it
Football Manager is
set.
not a video game.
It's numbers.
Yes, it sort of is.
You're not one of those
So-
sad fuckers who sits and watches the matches, though, are you?
No, you key.
We do know
key
someone
events.
who has been known to do that. He plays Football Manager and then watches the simulated match in real time.
Oh,
Shout
no,
out to-
no,
shout
you
out
do
to
key
Lee
events.
Kempin.
No, normally I'll do. Probably the match will probably last about 5 minutes.
Right, but you
And
can
then you
skip
can
that
change.
altogether
Of
if
course
you...
you can, yeah, but you need to make subs and stuff. If your player gets injured or whatever, you want him to get subbed. don't you?
Yeah, okay.
You know,
Fair enough.
so it's important. You do have to watch it, but yeah, you don't watch the in
You're
fucking
talking
real
about some
time. You're
BDSM
insane.
shit or something.
What?
Nothing to be
BDSM shit.
Talking about subs and doms and everything. I'm
Yeah.
just...
Subs and done.
Make sure the ball gag's dry, all of that.
Yeah. So,
But yeah, honourable mentions. I mean, if you've got anything in there, I mean, I wanted to very quickly mention. It didn't make my top 5, and we should mention that it may be that we have like I might have a number 4 on the list that's Matt's number 3 or whatever, and we'll just kind of talk about that at the same time. Then skip over it later. Firewatch. I don't know if that made the top 5 for either of you guys. I very much that. I fucking loved that game.
Lame.
Why is that late? Right, hold on.
It's a nothing game.
Why is it a nothing
I
game?
don't know, I just didn't care for it.
It is a gorgeous game, and you got
Not enough Japanese women.
there you go. There you go. It wasn't fucking Doki Doki Literature Club, so he's not interested.
That's my number 1. No.
Yeah, I had a great time playing that game. As you'll see from the rest of my list, like narrative is a very important part of gaming for me.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm the same.
with a couple of exceptions. I generally want to be invested in the story of whatever is happening, which is why, like the sort of farming sim type games and things like that, and like MMOs and online things, just generally don't interest me very much because I don't find that there's going to be any closure or satisfaction to that.
Yeah.
So Firewatch for me had a really intriguing story. You had Ollie Moss was brought on to do a lot of the creative aspect of it, a lot of the design and the aesthetic of the game is thanks to him, and you can see that in a lot of the kind of the colour palettes and all of that kind of stuff as well. Like I say, it didn't crack top 5, but it was a very kind of important game, and it's a game that sticks with me and I think about every now and again. I don't know whether I'll go back and play it again because it's one of those, like, once you've kind of played through it once, are you going to do it again? But yeah, that was up there. And then both of the Red Dead games as well, which didn't crack the top 5 for me.
Ooh, controversial.
But the first one was 2010 and then the second one was 2018. So they both kind of come in, just fly into that decade, but both incredibly enjoyable games.
Yeah.
Weirdly, some of the elements of those games that I liked were just like riding around on a horse, appreciating some of the surroundings and things. I remember playing the first game and just being like, just fucking riding across the map and being like, this shit's gorgeous. It's never gonna get better than this. And that was the only time I ever thought that while I was playing a video game. Not sure. But yeah, they were two that I just very briefly wanted to kind of jump in and say, I think, I'm sure there's people screaming at their iPhone or whatever now going, like, you didn't put it in the top 5, but there are other games that are more important to me. This is a subjective list.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, if you disagree, go fuck yourself.
Woof. Strong words.
But yeah, sorry, Dan, if you want to hit us with your 5th.
Number 5, you see, again, a bit like you, I prefer the narrative stuff. But number 5 is a little bit away from that. It's actually something that I had fun on playing multiplayer, and I really don't like playing multiplayer in general. Rocket League.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I thought Rocket League was really good
It's got
fun.
football in it, I guess.
Yeah, it sort of it brings in 2 elements, and it's like I've played online with you,
Yeah.
and that's like
Never again.
yeah. I just ended up shouting at it, didn't I?
Yeah.
Are you an angry man when you play Rocket League, Daniel?
He's just an angry
It's
man
like,
anyway.
It's
Well,
a football
yeah.
thing. You're sort of meant to communicate and
The-
shout and tell people, and when they don't do
Yeah.
what you're meant to do, then you tell them.
So, I mean, when did that game come out, roughly? Was that 2000...
3-4 years ago, I think.
2016?
Yeah.
Something like that. I've played it. I own it for the Switch, and I've never fired it up. I sort of bought it when it was on sale one time for like £7 or whatever. I've played it at Matt's house. And it's a laugh. You know, it's one of those games where like you don't have to like remote control cars or football, but if you like kind of just an enjoyable kind of quick party game with kind of low pressure and everything, because you can balls up entirely and just completely lose, but still have a really fun time doing it.
Exactly.
Balls up.
Can I edit that out?
No.
But the physics on it are pretty solid. It's a good laugh. Yeah.
I wouldn't invest a lot of time unless you're really good at it. Like it could just get quite repetitive.
Is it an e-sport game? Is it?
Yeah.
It is now.
Yeah,
yes, we actually had this when we were watching. We flipped over our channels,
Yes.
and a mutual friend of Dan and myself got really angry at the concept of esports.
Yeah.
Really?
And an actual channel devoted to it.
Yeah.
About Rocket League as well.
Why the fuck they've got commentators on this? What's this about?
It's a game of skill.
Yeah, I know. It's really,
Yeah.
madness.
But yeah, it is a game that I have fun playing, but I would never like to play by myself or with strangers. I couldn't. It's entirely a local co-op thing for me personally.
Yeah.
And there's a great deal of fun to be had with that because
Absolutely.
I mean, I am terrible at the game.
Yeah,
I'm terrible at most games.
This is true.
I will be the first to admit that I'm a bad video gamer.
Yeah, I'm not a good gamer.
I am Elite Underground, just if anybody wanted to know.
I just remember when I first got an Xbox One, I got it with Titanfall.
Oh, yeah.
I tried to play it about twice, and I almost had a fucking seizure because there was so much shit happening so quick.
Yeah.
You come round, he's on it, and he's killing people. I mean, how the fuck did you do that?
It's the autism. It's got them twitchy thumbs.
Yeah.
But he was wearing his favourite Sonic the Hedgehog t-shirt while he was doing it as well.
Probably.
Those types of games they're not for everyone, but they've obviously got a massive audience.
Absolutely.
I think Matt's the one who kind of goes in most out of the three of us on online stuff.
Yeah,
you were a big Overwatch guy for a while.
But then so many changes to it kind of put me off, to be honest, and also the communities.
Yeah, I just
the most toxic.
Yeah, people telling me that they're going to fuck my mum. I don't want them to.
See, that's fine. Like,
please don't fuck Dan's mum.
I mean, it's fine
Unless
to a
you're
degree,
Dan's dad.
but then like the problem with Overwatch is
okay.
it's a team-based game in Overwatch. So like, if somebody believes that you're not doing your part, you will get shit on completely. And it kind of ruins the fun.
Sure, yeah. If you're a team, you should be working together, and like no one's above reproach and criticism. If someone is obviously dicking about them, fair enough. But yeah, you've come in with multiple stories after moving to play Overwatch where people have just gotten
really
childish
nasty.
with it.
Yeah, really nasty.
And it is a shame.
2 years ago, I did receive a message though saying like, "GG, you are sick." And I was like, what is this positive reinforcement from a strange gamer?
Thank you, 12-year-old.
Yes.
Your parents are raising you right. So would you say you've sunk a lot of time into Rocket League then, or I mean, is it a casual game for you?
Yeah, mainly casual, mainly party games when we can be asked to try and all get online at the same time. I think in the past sort of 2 or 3 years, both of our lives have changed to the point where sort of evenings just don't have time to try and get people together do it. I suppose. I've probably not played it for about 2 years. Thinking about it, but when I was looking at games from a decade, it was something that I thought, well, I have actually invested time in that.
Yeah,
so
and you've got strong memories of having a good time with it. I think that's fair enough.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Shouting at Jamie.
Yes.
Always strong memories of that.
What about you, Matthew? What would your number 5 be?
It will be Bungie's swan song to the Halo franchise, Halo Reach, which came out in 2010, which recently came out back on PC.
Okay. Matt joined the PC Master Race.
I've always been a part of the PC Master
I don't think you
Race,
had anything particularly high spec until a couple of years ago, though, did you?
No, not until a couple of years ago. I was sometimes a bit ahead of the curve, but then with PCs, you can suddenly find yourself in a couple of months after running a new PC. Oh, I need to upgrade.
And that's what's always turned me off about it. I'm just no, that seems like great. Yeah, for the first 6 months I own this thing, I can run everything on Ultra and have a great old time doing it, and then all of a sudden it's slow as shit and nothing works anymore, and I need to spend another 500 quid to get it up to where it needs to be again.
I played a lot of Halo 3 in uni, but that was obviously before, I think that was like 2007 or something. But with Reach, it kind of encapsulated that time that I had at university as well. Just getting drunk and playing Reach online, because the multiplayer is probably, dare I say, one of the best multiplayers ever. Compared to other multiplayer games.
Consider for a moment that I might be some sort of peasant who doesn't really have any experience with Halo. I wasn't an Xbox guy.
No.
So what is it about Reach that puts it over? I mean, obviously the earlier Halo games kind of fall into the previous decade.
Well, Reach tells the story of a bunch of elite Spartans that defend Reach from the Covenant, which isn't like it's just
You're just
massive.
saying words to me.
I know. Basically, there's an alien
Even I
invasion.
get a bit more about it.
Some super-powered soldiers have to defend Reach, and then it all goes tits up.
And are these the master chefs I've heard? so
Yeah,
much
the
about?
master chefs.
Right.
And what is unusual about Reach is that everybody dies.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, is that a spoilers?
Pleasant.
Like even you, the main character, the last mission is you fending off against hordes of the Covenant,
Right.
the alien race, until you just die. Your screen cracks multiple times,
okay.
and then that's it. You're just gone. And yeah, it was nice because it was Bungie's swan song, and I don't think there's been a better FPS than Halo, in my opinion.
Right.
Call of
And
Duty-
you've jumped in on a fair bit.
FPS
like
is
you're
my favourite genre.
You're
to
like a
be
big
honest, as
Destiny
well.
guy, right? Aren't you?
Yeah, Destiny's a lot of fun. Destiny 2 I really enjoy. I enjoy a lot of Valve stuff as well. But yeah, Bungie and Halo, I miss them because 343 Industries, who took over afterwards, never really did the franchise justice, to be honest. Halo 4 and 5 are just toss, and I'm not looking forward to the new one either.
That's Infinite, right? That's coming
Yes,
out on the new
Infinite.
Xbox,
Yeah, and I tell you what is weird, jumping from the 360 to PC now, where you could trash talk everybody. This was the beauty of Halo Reach, where you could trash talk everybody in the lobby before going into the game. So you can be like, I fucked your mum last night, and then you'd be able to like unleash that rage. There was, you'd be able to unleash that rage in the match afterwards, and there wouldn't be much conversation with you. That was it. But in PC, I've been playing it now, and then dialogue box will open. Then anxiety will shoot because somebody's like, "Hey, you suck!" I'm like, it's strange. It's a horrible new world.
Jesus, yeah, that's a weird thing as well. It's like this was the decade where we had that first kind of generational leap where it felt very incremental in terms of for consoles at least.
Yeah.
Very incremental in terms of what was improving. Like you look at every kind of console generation before that, and it was like the NES to the SNES to the 64. And then like the PlayStation to the PlayStation 2, or however, whichever console you want to look at, the Xbox to the Xbox 360, and you look at the individual games on those systems, and fuck me, the leap in graphics, draw distance, NPCs, like every element had the potential to be that much more kind of like fucking hell. And it felt like that Xbox 360, PS3 to Xbox One, PS4 jump was very incremental. It felt very kind of like, okay, textures are a little bit kind of nicer.
Yeah.
And lighting, I guess, is slightly more dynamic. They've got some particle physics, but like it doesn't feel like that massive fucking leap. And I don't know if we're ever going to get that again.
No. Well, to be honest, there are news about the new Xbox console CPU smashing the new PlayStation one, apparently. So it's going to,
Yeah, but did
take
you read
out the
that
competition.
Did you read that on like Xbox.com?
No, I didn't.
PS4haters.com. Yeah, no, fair enough, man. I've not got a lot to chime in with that because, like I say, I'm not an FPS guy. They scare the shit out of me. I'm terrible at them, and I wasn't an Xbox dude. My wife played a lot of Halo apparently, back in the day. My wife played a lot of Halo before we met, and if you've ever met her, it's such a hard thing to believe because she plays
Stardew now.
She's a massive fan of like Minecraft and Stardew. I think she listed that we were talking about her favourite games, and it was that, The Sims. It was all just this kind of like nice, chill, zen kind of gaming, which is, fair enough. But yeah, to then be like, fucking Halo, get some! Just fucking.
She's just teabagging everybody.
Yeah, she still does that, but that's nothing to do with gaming. Yeah, fair enough. Moving on, my first entry, my number 5, would be the 5th entry in a series, Persona 5. I know you've not played this, Matt.
Played a bit.
You played a bit?
Yeah.
You just didn't gel with it, or?
No, I think it's one of those games, strangely enough, I'd enjoy in handheld mode.
Totally, yeah. I can't think of many of the games that I would like ported for the Switch quite as much as I would like Persona 5 for the Switch.
Yeah.
I played Persona 4 Golden on the Vita, and I clocked in like well over 100 hours on that, and it was a fantastic experience. And what I liked about that was the fact that it was a handheld experience. But Persona 5 just fucking takes what works about that series and just ratchets up like the style, the music.
I think it's the style that
dialogue.
works for it.
Oh, it's a fucking. I mean, they've Atlas, the publisher, have got such a distinctive look about their games. You look at stuff like Catherine or like some of the Shin Megami Tensei games on like the handhelds and stuff.
I look at Catherine later.
Well, look at Catherine. Yeah, Catherine full body. That's the new one, isn't it? They've added another waifu. Yeah, that game. I did that. What I do with almost every game I end up loving is I play about 5 hours. I go, this is really good. Then I stop playing it altogether for about 3 months. And then I go back and I drop another 100 hours into it. Can't explain to you why I do that, but I almost always fall off games almost straight away, whether I'm liking them or not. And then the ones that I really like, I get the call back to again.
Yeah.
I did it with Persona, and yeah, like Persona is like a lot of games, a lot of kind of RPG games are like, you know, what, 30, 40 hours story, but you can go up to like 100, 150 hours.
Yeah.
Persona 5, if you play the story mode of that game, will take you 100 hours to complete.
Oh yeah, it's
But
crazy.
fuck me, is it great? Do you know much about it, Dan?
No, not a clue.
The idea of the Persona game, so they're a spin-off from these games called Shin Megami Tensei. It's halfway between like a Pokemon-style dungeon fighting game and a life sim game where you're a Japanese high school student.
Okay.
So you and your Japanese high school friends are just like hanging out in the day, going to school, working your job after school, going and socialising. And then in the evening, you go into the mind palaces of corrupt businessmen in Tokyo and you steal their hearts so that they have a change internally and become good people again. And the idea is that you're trying to reform society and save Japan through this like weird metaphysical battle system where you fight their demons internally using your own demons that you've collected. And it's got the, you know, the rock paper scissors kind of, you know, this guy's strong against this guy and weak against this guy and everything else.
I see.
But what works really fucking well about it is the stuff that you do outside of these dungeons. So like your job that you work or when you go to the movies and things, they strengthen like your social stats with your friends, and the stronger your social stats are with your friends, the stronger you are in battle.
Yeah.
So
HP.
yeah, like the more abilities that you can have and things like that. Yeah, exactly. And it's just great, and it's really fucking addictive because you just like you've got like a literal like leveling up system for all these different things. Like how charming you are and like how intelligent you are and all this sort of stuff, and it's just one of those like I'm just going to do another hour because if I just do like 3 more days or I get to the end of the month I can do this and this and then I can go into this like, you know, this next bit of the game where I actually do all the fucking fighting and stuff and I'm going to be able to just smash the shit out of everything. And it's just that like really addictive loop. And like I say, the soundtrack is all this like Japanese like acid jazz type stuff, like absolutely amazing.
It's
like,
banging.
Really, really great soundtrack. The visual style of it is really cool. It's yet another Japanese game where I'm always hungry after I play it because you live above a curry house and he eats curry for almost every meal. He must have the shits constantly. You don't see that in the game. But yeah, he just eats curry like every day and almost every time. I'm like, no, I really fucking want curry and rice now. That because it's that thing of like these Japanese artists that can draw just delicious looking food.
Yeah. They always
One
do.
of those,
Spend a lot of time on it.
Yeah, I don't know how they manage it, but yeah, every single time I'm like, nope, need that now. So yeah, it is a game that would work perfectly on handheld. Hopefully that will happen because we got Joker in Smash. Joker's the main character in, not Joker from Batman, but Joker's he was in Smash earlier last year, so that kind of meant everyone started freaking out thinking that Persona 5 was going to head to Switch, which hasn't yet, although we are getting a Muso style game called Persona Scramble, which is like a Dynasty Warriors type thing, but with Persona characters, and that's coming to Switch, which seems odd when you've not got the base game that it's based on. Yeah. And it was a game that released simultaneously on the PS3 and the PS4, despite it coming out in 2016. So 3 years after the launch of the PS4, and it's still, you know... so if it's on the PS3, I think the Switch is perfect. You know, if they can squeeze the fucking Witcher and Dark Souls onto the Switch, they can get that on there. So that would be really, really cool. And it's had a ton of fucking spin-off games like rhythm games and stuff. And there's a 3DS game where they meet up with the cast of an older game. And it's all over the place. There's an anime for it. There's a manga coming out next month. It's a very, very big franchise. And it's well worth your time. Big investment of time. And frankly, amazing that I managed to complete it after my daughter was born. But
yeah, that's true.
So sleepless nights gives you something to do, doesn't it?
As is the case with a lot of the games on my list, they're big boys, and I guess that's just kind of how I've been filling the wee hours, especially when she was younger and she was sleeping a bit more. But I absolutely adore that game, and there's a new version of it coming out in a few months' time, April I think it is, called The Royal, Persona 5 The Royal, where they've added a new main character, they've added some dungeons, so you can take that 100-hour mark and probably bump that up another 20, 30 hours, but I know I'm going to get it, and I know I'm going to play it again, because it was a fucking great game, and I really recommend it to anyone who likes, that kind of RPG style, anyone who's like a bit of a weeb and likes manga or anime, because it's all like anime cutscenes and stuff in between, like beautifully drawn, beautifully rendered, well worth your time, I think. So yeah, that's my number 5. Daniel, what was your number 4, sir?
Uncharted 3.
Uncharted 3, fucking hell. Controversial choice, sir. Many argue the weakest in the series.
Okay. Well, it was the weakest in the series.
I've not played 4, so...
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
When was 2?
I think it was 2010.
It was...
I think it was just when
2009, I think.
Was it? No, I'm pretty sure it was 2000.
You might be right,
I did do some research.
Yeah.
I did check the dates on these things, and I think it was 2010.
You not played 2 then?
No, I remember. I think it was something that when I got whatever PlayStation it was, I got it with it, and I just gave it a go, and I was like, this is quite good fun. I think I enjoy the whole, treasure hunting narrative. It's not, you don't really have to do a lot. You kind of just have to press buttons at the right time. Yeah. Again, regardless of whether it's the strongest one or not, it's the one that I enjoyed and that I played. And I will eventually get onto 4.
No, fair enough.
But
bar fight's a lot of fun in the game.
Yeah,
it kicks off.
It is. Yeah. That's the one that starts in London, right?
London.
Yes. In London. You bought a PlayStation 4 to play Uncharted 4, didn't you, Matthew?
Yes, I did.
Yes, I remember.
And then I sold it.
And you did.
And then I bought a PlayStation
4 again.
to play Spider-Man.
That was it, yeah. I, again, because I wasn't really playing games in the kind of... I was a little bit, but I wasn't playing them with the regularity, and I certainly wasn't kind of following them the way I do now, where I'm like on fucking game news websites every day, listening to gaming podcasts, whatever. I had never played any of the Uncharted games. I had a loose kind of, I know this is a franchise, I know it's got a kind of Indiana Jones feel to it, but I'd never played them. So, again, I think the summer before my daughter was born, summer of 2017, I bought the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection, which is Uncharted 1, 2 and 3 and Uncharted 4, and I back-to-backed all 4 of them basically and just did the lot like in succession.
Nice.
Because they're short games, they're like 8 to 10 hour games each.
You don't have to do a lot really.
Again, very kind of story driven. You've got just fucking fantastic voice acting. You've got Sully just sweating like a whore in church or whatever it is that he says, his various problematic lines. That he comes out with, and it's Nolan North, isn't it? Is the voice of Nathan Drake. Fucking cracking job there. Just absolutely nailing that like trope of like action hero.
I do love Nolan.
Absolutely.
Some fantastic ludonarrative dissonance in there. Are you familiar with that term?
No.
Right, it's very game elitism, but it gets brought up on a few other podcasts, and it's an interesting term because ludology is the study of games. Ludonarrative dissonance is where gameplay and narrative come into conflict with each other.
Okay.
So say, your character is doing something that just does not gel with what he's doing in the storyline.
Right.
An example being, and we'll get onto this more later on, but in Breath of the Wild, you are supposed to help Zelda from destroy Ganon because she can't hold him much longer in the castle. However, you then spend 150 hours like finding fruit or whatever. And that's ludonarrative dissonance. And an example of that again is Nathan Drake in Uncharted, who is just this charming, likeable rogue who has murdered thousands of people and doesn't feel the slightest bit regretful of it.
It's really easy to do it.
He will just fucking mow through everyone who stands in his path and then make a joke about it afterwards. And it's nuts. It's like, if you break it down, but it's video games, so we all accept it. We just go, that's part of the gameplay loop. Very, very odd when you kind of look at it like that. But as a cinematic thing, those games are great. So was 3 the only one out of the 4 that you've played?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is,
Fair enough. And
did you get any of the collection?
Yeah, sure.
Dude,
go for it. I'll play it.
It's one of those ones that's always on the PlayStation Store for fucking pennies as well, man. But it's worth diving in. I had a really great time doing all 4 in a row.
2's the best.
I think 2 is the best. It's nice going from 3 to 4 because you get that. You can just see that they're really making the most of the machine in 4.
When Troy Baker comes into it as well.
And Troy Baker comes into it as Nathan's brother Sam. And then there's a Lost Legacy as well, which again.
Oh,
also
that's it.
worth your
Oh,
time.
actually,
I've watched playthrough
I
of
do
4.
like 2, but
I have
Lost
watched
Legacy.
Playthrough.
Lost Legacy I enjoyed far more than I was expecting to.
Chloe.
Because that was...
It's going to take a break, guys.
Yeah, just think about Claudia Black's sexy, sometimes English, sometimes Australian voice. But yeah, that's a game that was originally supposed to be DLC for Uncharted 4, and Naughty Dog went, this is good enough to fucking sell on its own.
Yeah.
And they were right. It's great.
Yeah, it was. Could have been a bit longer, but you know, it was
3,
intended for DLC.
3, I'm kind of struggling a little bit to think of key point. What's the main plot in 3?
Sand.
Sand.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the one where he literally falls out of a plane and lands in the desert, but he's fine?
Yeah.
What is it that he's hunting? Because in the first one, it's Francis Drake's. He's looking for El Dorado in the first one.
Yes.
The second one, he's looking for Shangri-La, where
Is
he
it
finds
Atlantis?
the big. I can't think what it is.
I think it's Atlantis.
Is it Atlantis in the third one?
They've got that ship segment, so I think it's Atlantis.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Yeah. But it was, I mean, I had a great time because it's a Naughty Dog game.
Oh yeah, they're great. Yeah.
Everything else, but yeah, I think of the 5, if you want to include Lost Legacy and Uncharted games, it's the one that I remember the least. It's
Lost City of Iram, the Pillars.
okay. Fair enough.
Atlantis.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, I think he's weirdly cemented himself as a kind of PlayStation's mascot almost. Really, you know, I know they had. Crash for a while, and then when Little Big Planet was around, they wanted Sackboy to kind of be their guy.
Yeah.
They tried to make that a thing, and everyone was like, "No, it's fine. You and Stephen Fry can keep him."
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Nathan Drake's kind of synonymous with PlayStation now.
Yes,
and
he is. Yeah, like Kratos as well.
The movie's been in development for God knows how long. And...
lost its 7th director, I think I read.
Yeah.
Who's the lead actor now? Because it was Matt Damon for a bit, wasn't it?
What? No, I think it was Matt Damon. It was.
Chris Pratt was associated with it for a while,
Was it?
Yeah.
and
I
then
thought it was Matt Damon.
but then he kind of went, "I've kind of done Star-Lord now, so."
Fan film's not terrible.
Yeah.
Well, I say fan film. I think Lone North was in it, and who else was in it? A Sully. Somebody was Sully. I'm good to find out.
Yes, we'll find out. Yeah, that's worth your time as well. I mean, it's a great franchise. It's really, really good. It's got a lot of legs, and I think it's got some replayability to it.
It wasn't known enough, obviously, was it? It was Nathan Fillion.
That's
Nathan
it.
Fillion,
Yeah,
that was it,
yeah.
yeah.
Fillion, yeah.
Was it Stephen Lang?
Stephen Lang.
Stephen Lang it was,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Stephen Lang, still trying to find that unobtainium.
Oh god, we got that.
And Ernie Reyes Jr. was in it as well.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Go and seek that out. I think it's just up on YouTube, isn't it? You can just
Yes,
find
yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah, it's worth checking out as well. But yeah, solid game, dude. It's but yeah, you owe it to yourself to go and check out the others.
Yeah, I would.
2 and 4 especially.
I've
But
been meaning to.
if you're doing 2 and 4, you might as well do 1
Yeah, may as well
anyway,
just
because they
start.
hold up.
Yeah.
If you get the remastered ones, they still look quite nice
Yes,
as well.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So Matt, number 4.
Number 4. We're tossing a coin to this one.
Oh lads, have I got some stuff to talk about here?
Yes, Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt.
This is number 2 on my list.
Ah, very nice, very nice.
Because ranks really highly for me.
Just phenomenal. Like, it was one of those games I remember like starting off, and I played the first couple of hours, and I was like, I really struggled with it, if I'm going to be honest, when I like first played it, because there's a learning curve, I think, to The Witcher. When you realise you've got to use different swords for different things.
Were you playing it on
oils.
console?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was playing it on console.
So that's another thing. They are PC games that are ported to console essentially.
Yeah.
So it plays like a PC RPG.
Yeah, it did. But when I finally gave it the chance, and I sat down with it, and then, oh Jesus, the world is
Phenomenal.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And Tucson, oh
Yeah.
like I want to move there in a heartbeat. To be honest.
I mean, we're going to be doing an episode on The Witcher fairly soon.
Yeah.
Because obviously the TV show is out now and absolutely huge.
Yes.
The books that they're based on in certain parts of Europe are absolutely huge.
It's next Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
So,
I think so. But Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, I think, was a lot of people's introduction into it.
Yes, yeah, it was.
Witcher 2 is a
certainly
decent game, but it was Xbox and PC exclusive.
Yeah.
So that kind of gated it from a lot of people playing it. I didn't have an Xbox at the time, so I didn't get to play Witcher 2 until a lot later. Witcher 3, I think I was like you. I played the first few hours and I was like, oh, okay, this is
Different.
This is tough. I'm dying
Yeah.
a lot. And again, I did that thing that I always do where I left it for ages and then came back to it again. But
I
yeah.
think it's one of those games you really have to stick with, and then you realise just how much there is to do.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
It's like the voice acting, just oof.
Yeah.
I mean, the gameplay needs work, I think.
I think the combat is kind of the weakest element to it, and
Yes.
controlling Roach as well, because does that boy like to just jump off cliffs
He does.
and just spin around on the spot and do all kinds of shit.
He do.
But it says a lot that the weaknesses in combat and traversal are almost entirely eclipsed by the storytelling.
Yeah.
The writing itself,
The characterization.
Characterization. The music is fucking phenomenal as well. Like the music is just so I mean, there are a couple of pieces where like you're walking around like Novigrad, and I'm like, okay, I've heard this music loop like for 40 minutes now, and that's driving me around the bend. But that's not to speak to the quality of the music. That's just how often you're hearing it. I mean, that is a game that I probably sank over 100 hours into the first time I played it. The DLC, I've said it before, is the best DLC I've ever played for anything.
It's phenomenal. Could have been its own game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, easily.
Have you played any of the Witcher stuff?
Nope.
I think he'd struggle, to be honest. No, I'm not being mean.
No, I don't have
yeah.
huge patience with games. You notice a lot of the ones on my list are all sort of ones that you can do in a week easily, if not less time.
Yeah.
If you commit, if you've got a few hours. Like I'm not the sort of person that gets kind of.
I mean, if you like chopping up
whole
monsters and seeing lots of tits,
it's important though.
I don't mind either of those things.
We do need to discuss, however, Team Triss or Team Yennefer.
Oh, it's Yennefer all the way.
Oh
man.
yeah, Dan
I like a girl
played
who's
it.
a bit mean to me.
Who do you prefer the look of, Triss or Yennefer? Triss is on the right.
Triss is the redhead. Yennefer's the brunette. We are being such shitlords on this podcast right now.
And it's one of those things. No, it's one of those things that always follows up with discussion of The Witcher.
Yeah, I think so.
Who do you like?
I'm gonna go for the for Yen.
You're gonna
I feel less bad
because of the gothy.
Yeah, I
sort
feel
of-
less bad about it because they're very well developed and characterized characters.
Yes.
They're not just like, I mean, they both are naked at several points in the game, and you can have sex with both of them, as you can many of the characters.
Putting this in video games?
Oh yeah, you can visit brothels and just bang your way through
No
the continent
penis,
if
though.
you want to.
Terrible.
No Witcher penis.
No peen. Very
I did see
disappointing.
an article about that, about the lack of penises in video games.
Yeah.
It's a discussion that needs to be had.
I agree. I like seeing a bit of
GTA's, I
dong.
think, the only one that's got
Actual
dong.
Yeah.
Actual dong.
Yeah.
hangs brain.
Yeah.
But yeah, it came out on Switch a while ago. I've picked that up. I'm currently replaying that. I'm probably into somewhere like my 15th hour. I've just kind of mopping up some of the Velen side quests. So I've done the Bloody Baron side quest, which is clearly anyone who's seen the Bloody Baron knows they were clearly watching the first couple of seasons of Game of Thrones and saw Mark Addy's Robert of Baratheon and went, oh, we need to do someone who looks like him in the game, because fuck me, he should be like suing for likeness rights or something. It's almost 1-to-1. It's crazy. But that in itself, just as a microcosm of the game, you are looking for your adopted daughter. You hear that she's been to this old rundown castle. You go there, there's this warlord who's been placed there by the current invading army. He will help you if you help him find his daughter and wife who've run off. And through investigating this entire just crazy story, turns out that, it turns out he's a drunk who's abusive and his wife miscarried, so that's why she left. But then it turns out that she didn't miscarry because of him, it's because she didn't want the baby, so she went to the woods where these crones live.
Oh Jesus, the crones.
And the crones, I've been playing this shit recently. It still really unsettles me. I don't like being in the swamps in Velen, because the atmosphere and, again, the music and the design of these three old crones, the Brues, Wispes and Weaves, who are just some of the most unsettling video game characters. They're very Souls-like, I think, as well in their design. They're really kind of bothersome in the way they've got extra vestigial limbs hanging off them, and one's got a basket attached to her face, and like she's bound, and it's freaky, man. But you're so invested in the story and these characters and the way that they're voiced and everything, you really get kind of sucked into it. So I'm playing this game and I love it, but I can't fucking wait to be done with this bit, 'cause I want to go to Novigrad or something. What I really want is to go to Toussaint, which is effectively like their south of France, and just drink wine and hunt vampires. But I've got a while to go before I get to that. I'm just thoroughly enjoying a second playthrough of that game.
Same actually, I'm playing on PC at the moment. I think purely because of the show, though.
Well, did you hear the Witcher 3 has more people playing it now than it did within its first month of launch due to the video game, and the fact that they've made that much money off The Witcher 3 at this point that they can effectively give it away. It is almost always on sale digitally for under a tenner for the entire thing. So good. So I think will definitely be remembered as a classic game. I think we'll look back in 20 years and kind of go, yeah, that was, the game of one of the games of the generation. A really kind of important game, and I'm super excited to see what they do with Cyberpunk.
Yeah, same, especially if you know the story about Siri as well.
Yeah,
I don't know if I should say it, I guess, if people are going to be watching the TV show.
Let's save it, because we're going to do a Witcher episode, and we're really going to dive into CD Projekt Red and all of the games and the background of the story and the future and everything else. Yeah. But that game, my lord, there's a reason it's number 2 on the list, and it's because I'm playing it at the moment, so obviously I'm thinking about it a lot at the moment, but before I started playing it again, it is a game that would pop to the forefront of my mind on probably a weekly basis. I think about, or a piece of the music would pop into my head, or the tits. Or the tits. Or you go outside and it's windy, and just in your head you hear Geralt going, "Wind's howling."
Yeah, wind's howling.
Come on, Roach. All of that stuff. So
sound
good.
effect that plays whenever you complete a mission or something.
I have to turn my TV down quite a bit in the night, because obviously I've got a 2-year-old who's asleep upstairs. And whenever I complete a quest, for some reason the quest completion noise is just this chorus of women going, "Ah!" 10 times louder than anything else in the game, and I'm just like, oh god damn it.
That's just a developer being a fucking troll, isn't it?
But it's at the same time it's very satisfying, because give me that sweet XP and everything else. But I'm just like, can we just crank that down a notch, because very, very noisy. But yeah, absolutely phenomenal game. My 4th game on the list, mine's God of War.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And phenomenal game, much more linear than something like The Witcher.
Very linear, but you don't realise it when you play it.
No, you don't. You get the feel of an open world. It sort of presents the idea that you can go anywhere else, but it so successfully funnels you in these directions, either through visual cues or through story cues and things like that, markers. Again, it borrows a lot from things like the Uncharted series with the traversal, kind of marking bits of, rock face with like highlights and things like that. The combat is just delicious in
it's
that
insane
game.
How they managed to change the original trilogy of games into this.
Yeah, and I played some of God of War, and I played some of God of War 3.
Yeah.
Didn't massively care for them.
They're fun games.
They're just hack and slash.
Yeah.
Beat 'em up kind of, you just fucking go through it, and it's very kind of juvenile. I think the God of War franchise is an excellent indication of like gamers growing up a bit, like Dad of War.
Yes,
like
definitely.
in certain ways.
I mean, Dan, do you know what God of War entails?
I've watched.
Have you seen the sex scenes?
I've heard
the orgies in the original trilogy.
Like, it goes off screen and you have to press the right
you have QTE to bang women. I have seen that. And there's none of that in the new one. It's Dad of War now.
Yes, it is.
That became the kind of moniker for the game, because he's got a son. He's moved away they've moved away from Greek mythology and they've moved into Norse mythology. So he's obviously living in kind of like Northern Europe, kind of Scandinavian kind of areas. And the game opens with you chopping down a tree.
Yeah.
You press play, you chop down a tree, and the game does not cut the camera once until the end of the game. There are no camera cuts. There are no cut scenes. All of the loading screens are very cleverly hidden. You'll be going up a lift, or you'll be walking through a tunnel, and that's loading the next area. But you never ever break from the camera behind Kratos' shoulder, which again, large portions of the game you don't notice, but then it will hit you every once in a while. And again, it's massively cinematic. It's got a fantastic storyline to it, which, as I've said before,
it's that first battle.
The first battle against the guy who shows up, who I'm not going to spoil it. There are so many moments in that are so kick-ass. When the world serpent first rises out of the water.
And when it comes back.
When you have to go back to your hut when your son's not very well.
Oh, that's one of the most cinematic gameplay experiences I've ever had.
And I didn't have the nostalgia for the original games that a lot of... Fuck it, we're going to have to spoil it, because...
I mean, if you've not played it, it's your own fault. It's been out for years.
In the original God of War games, he's got these twin blades, the Blades of Chaos, I think they're called. Yeah. And they're on chains, and he swings them, with a K, of course, because it's 2003. In the new game, you don't have that. You have an axe that was gifted to you by your dead wife, and the aim of the game is you...
Nice gift.
Yeah, well, it's a fucking great gift because it's a kick-ass axe,
Yeah.
and when you throw it, you press triangle and it flies
am I
back
gonna
into
do
your hand
with
like
it?
Thor's hammer,
Nice.
and the feel of that is
Yeah.
fucking 10 out of 10. And that never gets boring
Yeah,
because you
yeah.
throw it through an enemy,
Yeah.
then you recall it, and if you time
comes
it
back
right,
through.
it'll go back through a
Yeah,
different
yeah,
enemy. It's
yeah.
great. Your wife is dead at the beginning of the game, and she has asked you to. Her final request was to bury her remains at the highest peak in all the realms. So the story is you and your son, who you're estranged with, have this experience of going to the highest point to bury your wife's remains, and that's the crux of the story. At one point, your son is close to death, and Kratos has to basically return to their house, and he goes into this hole in the floor, and he pulls out something wrapped in cloth. And unwraps it, and it's the chains and the blades from the first game, and it's just this very quiet, tense, kick-ass moment.
It's the lead up to it though. I think that I preferred. Like it was sweet when you got a hold of them again for the first time.
Because you step outside and look, there's like a bunch of dudes for you to just destroy.
Yeah,
with a new,
but it's being on the boat with the
when
fire
you're
surrounding
riding back
you,
and
and then
all
these
these
silhouettes.
visions of your wife
Yeah.
and all of this sort of stuff. Your wife. Yeah, just so full of these beautiful, memorable cinematic moments, and then that combined with just super satisfying gameplay.
Yeah.
Again, like all the motion capture and the voice acting, and the dude from Stargate's in it as
Yeah.
Kratos now, and he's
Yes,
fucking
yeah.
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
And the kid is 10 out of 10, and sometimes he's a little prick that I want to smack in the mouth, but by the end of it, he's great. It sets up a sequel perfectly without being a horrible cliffhanger.
That last year, all that.
Do you know what I mean? Like that game ends, and if they never made another one, I'd be like, cool, it's still like a great experience.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
they also kind of go, but this.
Just in
And
case.
you're like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
fuck me, do I need to play another one? So good. Great game. Unfortunately, I don't have a PlayStation 4 at the moment, but at some point I will have another one, or I will get the PS5, which is allegedly going to be backwards compatible, and that is a game that I will go back and play more of, because they didn't do DLC, but they did all those Valkyrie challenges,
Yeah, I've
which I
not done
didn't
the
get
Valkyrie
through
challenges,
because they started to get a bit difficult. But I definitely want to go back and kind of do that again,
Yes.
because it is the best. It's so good. Dan, you want to do your number 3?
Number 3, I believe. Well, it's already been mentioned, and I think this might be on Matt's list as well. But Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
Okay,
The
cool.
original
That's
one.
my
The original.
Yeah.
spoilers. Number 1.
Oh
Make
no!
your number 1 for
Yeah.
Ruined it for you.
So cool.
Easily.
Okay, so
Easily.
we all kind of got it. Like I say, I think it would be probably number 6 for me. Well, that tied with Red Dead 2, because I feel I have to kind of put those two together
Yes.
I've not played 2 yet.
as
Again,
one giant game.
2 was amazing.
I heard it's such a long-winded game that
It's long-winded.
that put me off a little bit. I think. Even
There's,
though the first one's quite long-winded.
there's an interesting point which some YouTuber makes. I think his name's Jake something.
Paul.
And no. And he says like Red Dead Redemption 2 is too linear. Like
Right.
it's too easy to fail a mission if you don't do what Rockstar wants you to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whereas the first Red Dead was a lot more freedom in
Yeah.
it, I guess, as well.
Yeah, as long as you complete the objective, it's
Yeah.
generally
Yeah.
left to you to do.
Like
it.
you jump off like a roof in like some scene of Red Dead 2, like whilst you're doing a mission, and then you especially jump on this specific rooftop, it will like mission failure.
Right. Okay.
Or something dumb like that. But I guess, do you want to talk about it, Dan? Or should
I just well.
So when did you play? Did you play it when it came out, or
I think probably about a year later.
Yeah.
I think I remember talking to you quite a lot about it because I think it was the first game that when I
you
completed
sunk your
it.
teeth into it?
Yeah, I probably sunk my teeth in it, and it is time consuming, and as somebody who doesn't really spend a lot of time other than Football Manager on games, for me that was quite a big thing, and it actually left me quite astonished at the end, like the storyline and everything, and what happens at the end and that. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
you know,
I mean,
it's just. Yeah, it's almost sometimes when you watch a really good film and the ending's like just brilliant and you can't think about anything else for a few hours. That's how I felt.
Particularly at the time, it was a very left field turn to take to kill your protagonist at the end of the game.
I've not finished it. I'm
But it's not even the end of the game. There's like another
there is.
couple of hours after that where
I
where you play Jack.
It's my favourite game of the past 10 years, but do we really play Jack, or do we just go, okay, cool,
Well, still.
get your revenge,
Yeah.
and then turn the game off, because I don't touch it after that. Apart from the cool bit with what they alluded to be the devil.
Yeah.
Which was really cool. Do you know about that, Dan?
No.
Basically, as John, you visit some guy in a top hat at the top of your range, and he's like, oh, this is a pretty spot for a grave, or he just says some ominous shit like that. And then, obviously, that's where John gets buried, and then John's wife, and then Jack bumps into this guy again at some point in the future.
Actually does.
And you can't kill him.
Ring a bell.
Like, If you can, as John, you can just shoot him and see what happens,
Yeah.
and he'll just run away. But he never dies.
The devil in video games. Not to go back to The Witcher too much, but Gaunter O'Dim in
Oh,
Hearts of Stone is one of the best depictions of the devil I've ever seen.
Yes, yeah.
So good. Master Mirror. But we'll go back to that another time because fuck me, does that need a big discussion?
I think
Red Dead for me, I watched someone play it the first time. When it first came out, I didn't own a PlayStation. A friend of mine did, and he bought Red Dead, and I really love spaghetti westerns, and I'd enjoyed some of the older GTA stuff. Vice City I was a big fan of. So it was one of those like, dude, I'll come round like every night and just basically watch you play through this game. I played it myself again later on, but that was my first kind of, I was just kind of sitting alongside someone as they were playing through the game. But yeah, just
it took my breath away, dare I say. Like,
beautiful game.
there's a moment where you go into Mexico and Jose Gonzalez comes up, and I'm just like, whoa! This was my first. I think my first eye-opening moment into video games as art.
Mm.
And it was just the setup walking into Mexico with the rain.
Yeah.
And I got lucky with the weather system that time round.
Yeah, just creating something cinematic.
Really set the mood.
It was probably the first game. Not that I was playing necessarily because I was watching someone else play it, but the first game where I was like, let's just stop and kind of appreciate the scenery a little bit.
Yeah, I could do that very often.
And there's been multiple games since where I've had that. A few that we've spoken about. That was the first one where I was just like, I am just riding my horse across the map here because it is fun to do so and it is nice to look at, and because it's this big open world Rockstar game, you will find things to do, you will find people to help. It was one of those, it felt like a dense world despite it being, this kind of PS3 game on this relatively small map.
It was one of the first games within Banjo-Kazooie where I was like, I have to do everything.
Sure.
I completed the checklist, I think twice.
Wow.
To be honest, 100%ed it. And it's just the range, like going to Mexico and the landscape as well. The barren desert, and then going into the woods and finding a bear for the first time and shitting yourself. And it's the narrative, just everything about John's really cool. Yeah. I honestly think John's one of the coolest protagonists in video games.
Absolutely, yeah.
One of the most relatable. I know a lot of people complain about
Do
when
you
you
prefer
go back.
John to Arthur Morgan?
Yes. Arthur Morgan had a remarkable storyline. Easily one of the best in Rockstar's history. But something about John. I find John more relatable. Also as well, because he's a bit of an idiot.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know, Red Dead 2 did a lot of things for me, but and I would class it as one of the best games that came out last year.
Yeah, definitely one of the best games of the generation. I think.
Yeah, was it last year? Was it
the end of 2018?
Yes, yeah, of course. But for me, I don't know why it just didn't hit that sweet spot. I felt like Rockstar.
Well, this list is like your favourite games. We're not saying these are the best games.
The best achievements, I guess. Yeah.
These are our favourite games. The games that had the most impact on us, and I can absolutely understand why.
I think maybe the issue was in relation to that was the fact that maybe Rockstar tried too much with Red Dead 2. Like it was like all these awesome things.
There was a lot to top.
Yes, and there's also a lot to top, especially because I think it is easily Rockstar's best game of all time, Red Dead Redemption. But what else to say about that, really? Like Red Dead.
If you've not played it, it's on Game Pass.
It's worth your time.
Get, for £1.
I never cared for the multiplayer.
No.
I gave it a shot.
Did you play Undead Nightmare?
Oh yes, of course. Yeah, the DLC was cool.
Because that was another one where it was DLC that they released as a standalone. After a while.
It was stupid fun. I enjoyed it for what it was.
I never got around to playing it because I bought them both on the PlayStation Store and it never downloaded.
Oh.
And I sent multiple emails and stuff and I never got an answer.
It was never corrected, so you never got to experience...
never got to play it.
It's weird that they never ported it to PC though as well, and then Rockstar would give some shitty excuse saying it's too difficult to port because of how we made it. No, just do it, you cowards.
Well, didn't Red Dead 2 run like ass on PC when that first...
Yeah, it's one of those things. It happened with GTA 5, it happened with GTA 4. Like, their PC ports weren't great to begin with, but over time, as long as you had a really good machine and a good rig, it would work in due time.
I mean, Red Dead 2 looked fantastic on
that's what they say, Daniel.
A base PS4, but that was why I upgraded to the Pro. It was that game and God of War, because I was just like, these games I need to see what these are like in 4K.
Yeah.
But yeah, Red Dead was fantastic and really sort of precedent setting for a lot of things, I think.
Yeah,
really cool.
It certainly was.
Cool. Right, Matthew.
Number 3. Are we on this? Nier Automata.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if that would creep into your top 5.
Easily. one of the best soundtracks since Ocarina of Time, in my opinion.
Matt's first waifu game. It took us a while to get here, but here we are. Yeah, the soundtrack for that game is absolutely banging.
It's the gameplay as well as Platinum, and anything Platinum makes, I am all over.
It is a game I need to go back to because I finished it once and I was like, yeah, that was fine, but I appreciate that this is a game that you need to complete. What, 5 times?
Masterpiece, sir. 3 times to get the full story.
Yeah.
If I recall. And there are 26, 27 different endings. Such as eating a fish, but then realising you're an android and you can't process that, so you die.
Oh, nice.
Or, what was interesting was you can actually sell parts of your body as well, and you can just sell your system chip, and also that will result in a different ending altogether.
Yeah.
And then Spike Jones short film.
One ending, you have to work with a team to destroy the credits and then delete your game save.
I've heard about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, doesn't it get to the point where it's basically the top-down shooter section,
Yes.
and you're trying to shoot all of the credits, and it gets to a point where the credits are just overwhelming. You can't do it all, and then all of a sudden, all these other ships arrive and shoot
other people, other users, yeah.
and a message comes up saying, these people who have helped you did so by deleting their game save.
Yeah.
And that is how you were able to get to this particular ending. Are you going to be a selfish prick and keep your game save?
Yes.
Or are you willing to delete your game save in order to help strangers that you will never meet?
Baffling. I mean,
Did you delete it? Did you do it?
yeah, I did all of the endings.
I think the statistics are out there that the vast majority of people delete their game save.
I was lucky in a strange way because I played on PC and Square did not update the game once it was on Steam. They left it for a good year.
Right.
But it was, if you find the file mod, if anybody is a PC gamer, install the file mod and it improves the game 110%.
Can you look at her pants though, or just shoot it as the camera?
You get an achievement for doing that. If you do it multiple times in a row, you get an achievement for doing that, and she shoves away the camera.
Yeah, I know, she shoves away the camera.
A 2B, my waifu for life. I mean, there's 2B, 9S is cool. It's a weird one because it takes so many cues from like popular Japanese like manga anime, I think, as well. Like Neon Genesis is one.
I mean, the mashup of game styles in the single game itself. You start the game as a top-down shooter, I think, don't you? When you first head in planet side, and then it turns into like an over-the-shoulder hack and slash, and there's the
hacking
mini games as well, and just there's so much content in there, and it's typical Platinum. It's this crazy over-the-top action. It's lots of ideas all kind of thrown at the wall, and I think there seems to be an instance where most, if not all of them, stick. So. Yeah, I think it's an underrated gem. I think as well. You don't hear.
I'd say
you don't hear a lot of discussion
about
it.
Though. It's just annoying. Is his name Tano? I think that created it. It might be wrong. It was just like, if you want the full story, watch the play in Japan. And I'm like, what?
Oh yeah, shit, I forgot about that. Yeah, because there's novels.
Yeah, there's novels,
and then there's a play that is only out in Japan that gives you further insight into the story of it. Like, thanks guys.
Insane.
How helpful.
But I mean, the story for one thing is just insane. But for me, it's the character design. It's really the gameplay. I think that's what shines the most with it, alongside the soundtrack, which I pop on.
Yeah, it's totally one of those ones that you can just throw on and enjoy as its own thing.
Yeah. That's number 3. My only waifu game as well. Surprise.
Wow. No Senran Kagura or.
No, none of that.
No Kill la Kill If.
No, that was a disappointing game.
Yeah, well, didn't you get like the deluxe version of that?
Yes, I did. I got the collector's edition of Kill la Kill If, and I think you got like an art book and some fancy bits on it. But I was just like, this isn't for me. Hey.
Oh well, they can't all be winners.
They can't all be
chicken dinners.
No.
Cool. I'm going to go on to my number 3 then, which is honestly, this was a tricky one whether to move this into the number 2 or 3 slot, but my number 2 was Witcher 3, which we already talked about. But number 3 for me is The Last of Us.
Well, surprise. Okay. I'm surprised that's not number 1.
No.
I mean, it's more a film than a video game, but anyway.
it is, and I'm not trying to defend it in that way. I mean, I've stated from the outset that the things I like about video games are strong narrative.
Yes.
Something that's going to pull me towards a satisfying conclusion, or a frustrating conclusion, as it is for a lot of people. At the end of this game, but for a game that came out during the kind of it was the swan song for the PlayStation 3, and it was easily the best looking thing on that console. I think, graphically speaking.
Yes.
It was one of those instances of, you know, they've motion captured stuff. They've considered who they're hiring to act in this because it is such a cinematic.
Troy Baker.
It's Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson as Ellie.
Yes.
And you've got various other people.
Follows me on Twitter for some reason.
Okay, interesting. Maybe she listens.
Can you get to plug this? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Cheers.
She might be just one of those that follows everyone.
Yeah, maybe.
Is she not playing Ellen Page?
She seems like a very nice person. She basically is Ellen Page.
Yeah, I
in the
know,
first lesson. The soundtrack by Gustavo Santaolalla is just so pitch perfect for the tone and the mood of that game.
Yeah.
Nolan North in it again because he's in basically every computer game.
No.
But as someone who doesn't really enjoy stealth in video games, as someone who's incredibly tired of zombies in video games, I was very surprised by how much I enjoyed this and how much it impacted me. And I would love to play it again because I played it twice through, but I've got a child of my own now. And I think I would find that opening segment just a little bit too heart wrenching. I mean, do you know what happens in the beginning of the game? Like, it's quite famous at this point that, you know, his daughter just dies in his arms, and it is just absolutely heartbreaking. Whether you've got a kid or not, if you're a human being, you can't watch that and not go, whew, that's rough.
Absolutely.
But for it to be so affecting is a mark of how far video games have come in their storytelling.
Yeah, definitely.
I really enjoy so much about that game. It's very bleak and very difficult and challenging in places. But it's got all those like Naughty Dog hallmarks in there, the traversal, the you know, having to like push Ellie about on the pallets because she can't swim and all that kind of stuff's very cool. The crafting in it is really cool as well. You've got early implementation of like weapon breakage and stuff, which has become more regular in games recently.
I'm not a fan of it myself.
We'll get onto that a bit more later on. It is Video Game the Movie.
Yes,
a little bit.
It is.
But I like that.
It's interesting seeing how many gamers hate it.
Yeah.
I've met many people that outright just don't think it's a video game.
And that's fair enough. You're entitled to your opinion, but what qualifies as a video game these days, like as a medium, as a catch-all term, it encompasses so much.
Yeah.
You know, there are people who would say a visual novel is not a video game, or a walking simulator type game like What Remains of Edith Finch is not a video game, or you know, so many things that kind of they do still kind of come under that banner, but you know, people will have opinions.
You see, I watched a playthrough rather than played it.
Right.
I wanted to play it,
yeah,
but I watched a playthrough and I thought, not because it wasn't again. I don't really know how to say it, but I just enjoyed watching it.
Yeah,
you know,
I
enjoyed watching it, and it's
good for
I sort of
backseat
felt like I
gamers.
didn't need to play. Yeah. I am a backseat gamer, a classic. But growing up as an only child, but when I had friends round, always I'd rather watch.
Matt's face. Friends. when your mum paid people to come over for an hour, just
People were
talk to
forced
him. I don't
over.
know. He'll say weird
Well,
political.
no,
She'll just smile and
you see,
nod.
this is
I've
what
got to remind
happened.
her she's late on her payments.
You see, this is what happened. You see, they played the video game to ignore me, but I enjoyed.
Jokes on them. I liked watching.
Yeah, precisely. Well, that's the thing.
Cuckolded by your snares.
I always did. Always did. I'd always enjoy watching people play video games, and that's exactly what this was.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think for as many people that can't stand it, there's a lot of people out there who it, like me, it kind of jumps into that all-time great slot for a lot of people.
Yeah.
We finally get part 2 later this year.
It's a question of whether or not it'll live up though. Expectations.
You know, they had my money as soon as they announced it because I like the original one, but it's Naughty Dog, so I've got faith that it could be something great.
Yeah.
Again, it's going to be one of the swan song games for this generation, so it's going to be, you know, they're going to have used the machine to its capacity, I think, in terms of what it can do. So I'm really, really intrigued to see it. I like all the footage that I've seen so far. I like that they seem to be pushing Ellie to the forefront as the character because Joel's an old fuck now.
Yes.
You know, it seems, not that this is necessarily why I play games, but it seems like it might be fairly progressive in its storyline because, you know, she seems to have a relationship with a girl and that's all going to be part of the story. And that's cool that, you know, in a AAA title, that's something that's not being pushed out as like a major look at this thing, but it's just a part of her character and they're not afraid to address it.
It's part of the world, but it's totally normal.
Because the medium, even now is still so male gazy. There's been a number of the games we've talked about where it's, Persona 5 is full of schoolgirls in swimsuits. Near Automata, there's a fucking achievement for looking at this robot's underpants. So it's nice when shit like that comes along, I think, and is not necessarily battering you over the head with look how progressive we are, but it feels like a natural part of the character in the world. So that's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to it. Last of Us is great. Fuck you, people who don't like it.
Woo.
Dan, do you want to do a number 2?
Yeah, sure. Why not? This is for multiple reasons, really. One for personal, but also for sort of YouTube channels that I enjoy are still able to create brilliant content with the video game, and that's GTA 5.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed playing it. It was good fun. I just think the world's ridiculous and silly, and that's what's such good fun about it.
It is the third best-selling video game of all time, GTA.
It's crazy.
But how long's it been out now? What was it, 2015?
Yes, I remember queuing up at midnight for its release on
there's
360.
still YouTube channels out there that will play something on GTA 5.
I think that's what got you into.
Yeah, watching absolutely. Yeah, watching Let's Plays was GTA 5. It was Achievement Hunters Wrecking Ball, where they had the cargo bob with a car on it, and they're on top of the maze bank thing. But yeah, so even though I don't play it, and if I turned it on, I imagine the update would be massive on it. But
that's insane.
Well, they're just non-stop with the online side.
Yeah,
aren't
but
they?
even now, I find it entertaining watching people play on it. And we had fun playing on it multiplayer for a while, didn't we?
Until Jamie ruined heists for us.
Yeah, that was true. Yeah, where he wouldn't go in the room, if I remember.
He wouldn't get on the helicopter. He used to pilot the helicopter, and he used to crash the helicopter.
Yeah.
It's the most important part of the heist. The very end of it, he was just like, I don't know how to do it, or he'd be too late.
It's going up. It's not going down. I can't go forward.
Jamie, it's not a real helicopter.
For sake. What buttons are you pressing? Don't know all of them.
Yeah, okay.
Fuck off.
just DM him a fucking a tutorial on how to use a helicopter in GTA. Constantly shows up in top 10 purchases for the week because it's almost always on sale. Again, like Witcher 3, they've sold that many units at this point, they can give it away for buttons.
Yeah.
So people are still buying that game every single week.
Still making money online.
It's still making money. There's still people buying
like
shark cards or whatever it's called.
628 million it made last year, I think, online.
They've made over 6 billion on that game so far. Apparently.
Yeah, but in the year last year, so it's still going strong.
In totality, it is absolutely nuts. And I bounced off GTA 5.
You're not finished it?
No, I bought it on PS3 and I own it digitally for PS4, and it's just come on Game Pass 2 days ago.
Just give it a go. You should finish it.
I should, and I intend to. I've started it numerous times, and I've gotten a few hours in, and I think it's me. No, I know it's me because obviously it's
me, not you.
It is, it's me, not you. But I'm bad at video games, so I constantly get into these missions where I need to drive the car over to the place. And it's almost on fire by the time I get there.
Jesus Christ.
I will retry a mission maybe 3 times, and then I'm like, balls to this, I can't be arsed with it anymore. And that's down to me, but I need to get back to it, I think, and actually see it through, because I like the idea of like multiple stories kind of converging together and all that stuff.
Yeah, they did a decent job with it.
It looks good still for an old game, and
it does. And dare I say, my favourite was Michael. Out of the 3, not Trevor. Everybody loved Trevor.
Everyone loves Trevor, yeah.
So funny.
Yeah, he's the unhinged one.
Michael's the guy who's getting therapy at the beginning of the game, right?
Yeah, there's a bit more...
son and stuff.
There's a bit more to him.
Right. Yes, I think so. A bit more depth to him.
What's the other chap called? I want to say Lester, but it's not, is it? That's the hacker dude. Well, we've just... Drew, talk quick.
The other dude, don't ask me, dude. I like I said, I played 3 hours about 4 years ago, so I couldn't tell you. But it's a game I do need to get back to, and I've got like a little list of games that I'm going to mention at the end, and this was one of them because it is an important game for the decade. I think
I'd say Franklin, of course. Some of the side missions are a lot more fun than the main missions.
The main story missions.
So there's some stuff with like a cult, which is really fun as well.
Yeah.
But you've got to buy into it, though. You've got to spend a lot of money to get through that storyline. It's a lot of fun.
That's cool.
I couldn't do half the alien things. That's
where
I stopped, actually. I was trying to do the alien stuff, and I think it's the one where it's in the...
Did they ever solve that mountain mystery?
Yeah.
The Chilean mystery.
No, I wonder if it's something they'll do at the very end before they bring out GTA 6.
One of the final updates or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe put the resolution in 6 or something.
Yeah, possibly.
Who knows, man? But yeah, a massively important game for a lot of people. A lot of people still play that on a daily basis.
Yep.
And it, like you say, it is raking in the cash.
I wish it didn't, though, to be honest, because it's kind of made it okay to charge people obscene monies for digital items.
I mean, that is an entirely separate conversation.
Yeah,
though.
Yeah.
Hasn't Fortnite essentially just created that world?
Fortnite's not so bad because it's free to play.
Okay.
I mean, and
Yeah, it's all cosmetic, isn't it? In that,
I think Rockstar's level of greed was kind of unprecedented in GTA 5, unfortunately.
Sure.
It depends what you're playing the game for. I think. I am yet to play a game where I felt like I needed to spend money on it in that way.
Yeah, I never did that with Overwatch.
This is what I'm talking about. There's a reason that it is literally illegal in some countries now to have like loot boxes and things. But I think if you're going to be transparent with it, if you're saying, look, you're buying virtual money to spend on these virtual items, these are the items you will buy with this amount of virtual money. That is one thing. Loot boxing and stuff like that is, there's no two ways about it. It's a gamble.
Yep.
Yeah, and when a large part of your demographic is children as well, then that obviously has to be addressed.
It's not on.
But they seem to be ticking by all right. Whether that gets addressed in the future and certain things have to be changed about that is a discussion that's going to be had another time, I suppose.
Definitely.
It's an interesting one. Go on then, lad. Your number 2.
Number 2, Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
Oh, it's my number 1.
Hey, I thought it might have been.
So there we go.
What a game!
What a game! Oh my god!
Like those first few moments when you wake up and you go over the hill and then you just see Hyrule.
Yeah, you get that swell of the orchestra, which is one of the few swelling music moments in that game. Famously minimalist score.
It blew my mind.
You played it on the Wii U, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
This was another one where you bought a console for a game.
Yes, literally just for that, because I was like, I'm not going to buy a Switch anytime soon. But I've always been a Zelda fan. Ocarina of Time probably is my favourite game of all time.
Yeah.
And Breath of the Wild just blew me away with the physics, the scope, how much it changed the landscape of Zelda as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot fathom them going back to an old model.
No, I mean, but they're not. The next new games.
It's a direct sequel.
Yeah, it's a direct sequel as well, using all the assets from the original.
Which I'm fine with.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. It's going to be a Majora's Mask.
I'm so fine with them, building upon what they've already established in that world, because so rich, so much to do. Like I say, the ludonarrative dissonance of you've got this task that you need to accomplish, this great evil.
But I've got to find some Korok seeds.
But yeah, there's 900 of these Korok seeds. I need a golden shit, because that's what you get. If you collect these 900 Korok seeds, your reward is a gold turd, which is just one of the best pieces of trolling from a dev ever. So good. I had a 3DS, and I like Zelda from being a kid, but I'd kind of disappeared. It had gone off my radar a little bit. I didn't bother with Skyward Sword at all because it just didn't look interesting to me. I played some Twilight Princess and I was like, this is pretty cool. But yeah, I think N64 was where it kind of lost me. I never played Wind Waker first time round, but this just looked like something I had to get involved with. So I got my Switch probably about 8 months after it launched. So I waited a little while. I came over to yours and you showed me one of the shrines, I remember. And I was just like, fucking hell, look at this. Just like... It's that feeling of, and it is the closest any video game has come to it, the feeling of going out into an environment and going, can I do this?
Yes, can I climb this?
And usually being able to.
Yeah.
Unless it's raining.
Yes.
But the fact that they put such a consistent set of physics in there that you know what is likely to or not to work is so brilliantly done. And for it to be number 1 on my list... And again, when you look at the narrative structure of all the other games and how story focused they are, the story in this is practically non-existent and arguably its weakest element as well.
Easily. I think it's probably the weakest in the Zelda series.
Yeah, there's just almost nothing there. Champion's Ballad expands on that a little bit, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And the DLC is fantastic. I love it, and I love the fact that I have a motorcycle now that I can ride around Hyrule in. Because sure, why not?
Yeah.
But
I think my only issue is, despite it being my number 2. Is that Ganon was too easy?
Yes,
especially after you defeated the 4 Divine Beasts.
The Divine Beasts, so you are essentially OP as heck. And I mean, that again comes down to your play style, because once you're off the plateau, you can if you feel like it, take your 3
Yeah.
hearts and head over to the.
I've said that I've met a bunch of people that just don't like the game. They don't enjoy it, but I think that's because of the learning curve, the difficulty curve.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing more terrifying than going into Hyrule, and then a guardian aiming
starts
its laser
to beam
at
on you, yeah, and you're like, oh fuck.
and it's a one-shot kill.
For
Like, if you don't deflect it onto.
for probably the first 60 hours of the game.
Yes.
If you get hit by one of them, you're done.
Yeah, it's insane.
And then you respawn a few yards away and
Yeah.
you carry on about your day. But I like that. I like so much about it. I like when you first get your glider and you glide off the plateau and you just see these towers in the distance that you have to go and activate, which has become a very tired trope in video games.
Yes, but they worked well with.
It was a very enjoyable. There's something incredibly satisfactory about climbing one of these towers and then finding, opening up that section of the map and getting your fucking Sheikah slate out and looking around and going like, oh shit, look, there's a shrine. There's a shrine. Weird because you can kind of tell that it was originally meant to be a Wii U game. The Sheikah slate's obviously it's a Wii U gamepad.
Yes,
And I think did you have the map on your gamepad as you were playing the game, or?
Yes, I think you did.
You did, because I played it on Switch. So if I wanted to get my map, I had to press a button to bring the map up, which is fine. They kind of reworked it in a way that you could quick select weapons and stuff. Not really an issue, but I can tell it probably would have been a nicer experience to just have that map open all the time, or to have quick access to your menu and the rune powers that they give you. All of that stuff's really, really great. Like, so crazy.
It was one of those as well where it's one of the few games I've my jaw's been left open, like agape by seeing something in the distance. Like there's a dragon, like this comes out of nowhere.
Shit me, yeah. The first time you see one of those dragons just like flying over the lake or in the mountains or whatever, and no one at any point has gone, these dragons exist in the world. Because I saw it and it was fucking huge. I'm like, shit, if that sees me, is it going to fucking come at me? Because it's huge and it doesn't give a shit. It doesn't even notice you're there. It will sometimes shed elemental balls of fire or whatever if you get too close to it, if you try and attack it to knock a scale off or whatever, which you can do. You can fly close to it, smack the thing, get a scale, and you need that for whatever upgrading armor in the fairy fountains or whatever. But again, no one tells you that.
No.
It's all down to you figuring that shit out.
This is what it is. I think it's a difficulty curve. Nobody tells you how to play Breath of the Wild.
No.
It's here's a bunch of breakable weapons. I think that was probably one of my problems with the game.
I really like that, and it's another divisive thing on the game, isn't
Master
it? Some people are really into.
break.
Well, it doesn't break; it just runs out of charge.
Yeah, I know, but it
You have to charge it back up. If you complete the Master Trials, it permanently doubles your Master Sword's energy, and as far as I'm aware, it doesn't break. It doesn't run out either. So, but the Master Trials are fucking difficult towards the end, so you do have to earn that.
Lionels as well. Lionels.
I ended up really liking them, but they were guardians for me for the first 100 hours of the game. I was like, fucking Lionel, run! And then it's such an empowering game because, like you say, when you first walk out onto Hyrule Field and there's these guardians, these fucking giant octopusy spidery things that have got a laser that will just decimate you, and you've got a pot lid and a rusty sword and just a pair of linen trousers, and you're like, no, I need to run away from this. To come back 80 hours later,
like, hey
Master
bitches,
Sword
I got
in
a
hand,
sword.
the Hylian shield, you've got your Guardian armor on, and you're just like, right, who's going to give me some ancient parts? You'll do, and you just run up to it and beat the shit out of it.
Chop off the legs.
And it is so satisfying to do that because you feel you've earned that every step of the way, and it's not a get good thing, and it's just playing the game and exploring the world and finding all the things to do. What's fun is watching someone else play the game for the first time as well.
Trying to figure out shit. Yeah.
Like I gave it to my wife Vicky to play, and she came out.
My wife.
She came out. She passed by the old man at the fireplace entirely and just ignored him. And I was like, do you not want to? She's like, yeah, in a bit. And just started gathering things. And then she found the first Bokoblin camp with the little thing. She was like, oh, fucking look at that. Right, okay. And then just went and did this entire... She had her own adventure, basically. And it was so it's not prescribed in any way. It's entirely up to you to interpret this world how you want it to. And like I say, you can make that game last 5 hours if you're confident enough to head into Hyrule Castle and take on Ganon with next to nothing. You'll find cool weapons when you're in there, but you'll only have 4 hearts. But if you're decent enough to parry and block and everything else, you can do that game so quickly. Yeah. Or you can do what I did and spend 180 hours just living in the world and
taking it all in.
Yeah, just catching fucking butterflies and cooking shit and you know, buying a house and hanging your cool shit on the wall.
Saying
in the
hello to
house.
Hestu.
Yeah, building a
What a
town,
lad.
making Tarrytown and all of that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So good, so much and so rich, and I'm super pumped for.
Oh, the sequel's going to blow my mind, I think.
Yeah. I still wonder whether Zelda's going to be a playable character. I think the way they've established her, it would be kind of cool if she was.
Oh, okay, I'm confused. Who's Zelda?
Zelda is the
Is that
boy.
not the main character?
Yeah.
Even I know that.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on this, Dan? I assume you've not played it. You're not.
I don't have a Nintendo.
Yeah.
A Nintendo.
What?
Sega does what Nintendo don't.
Yeah, dude.
When I was younger, I did have an N64, but I just never ever got round to playing
Zelda games.
Zelda games. No.
So it's just one of those things that completely bypasses some people, I
yeah,
suppose,
yeah.
and that's fair enough. I think you're missing out on a very rich
Yeah.
game of rich vein of video game
quite
history.
possibly.
But yeah, it's not only is it my game of the decade, it's a strong contender for my favourite game. Because there's just so much in there. And again, like I say, it's so minimal on the story and everything. There's these few moments, these snapshots of the past. And occasionally, you know, your walkie-talkie goes off and Zelda starts speaking in your ear or whatever it is, however it is she's managing to communicate with you, and she'll, you know, sort of fill you in on a few bits. But you're like, fuck off! I'm in Death Mountain and I'm trying
Yes.
to, you know, I'm trying to gather some fucking fire lizards.
Gorons, man, I love them.
Yeah, they're great.
And Zoras. Zoras are cool too.
Yeah, Prince Sidon's a buff boy.
He is a buff boy.
So great. Yeah, and far and away, I think my number one. It just leaves pretty much everything else in the dust. I enjoyed everything else on my list immensely, but that is the game I have the fondest memories of. That is the game I'm really looking forward to playing with Jess, my daughter, in a couple of years' time.
Yeah.
You know,
definitely see what they
like,
get up to.
just, you know, her kind of sitting, like, you know, telling me what to do with the controller, her having a go at it. You know, I think it's got a lot to give, that game, and it's definitely going to be. It's going to be remembered alongside Ocarina of Time.
Oh, easily,
as,
yes.
you know,
One of
kind
the
of
greats.
one of Nintendo's best, definitely. So, Dan,
What's your number 2?
that was my number one.
Yeah, but what's your number 2?
My number 2 was The Witcher 3, which we've already talked
Oh,
about. So
right,
I've done
okay.
all of
Oh,
mine,
right, I'm
mate.
with you,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, we've done my list.
So my number 1 is a game from last year, I think. Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Good game.
I just really just enjoyed it a lot.
It was a great game.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. And Yuri Loefenthal, pronounced his name, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that was it.
Yeah, it's great. One of my favourite Spider-Man.
Yeah, just a great Peter Parker.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah. And the fact that they recorded 2 different versions of like almost each line as
They
well.
did, didn't they? So it was one when he was out of breath if he was swinging through the air, and then one if he was either standing still or just walking. And
Insane.
It's just so satisfying, just swinging about.
They really just nailed the feeling of web
Yes,
web
web
slinging.
slinging,
absolutely.
There's been a couple of other Spider-Man games that have done a solid job of that, but this absolutely.
I can't remember which. I remember playing the one back on the PS2. Was it in like what? Mid-noughties, early noughties, something. I can't remember
There was
which
an
one it
Ultimate
is.
Spider-Man game. I don't know if that was it. Maybe
Probably Spider-Man 2, maybe.
I think it was
Spider-Man
Spider-Man
2,
2,
which is generally considered the best Spider-Man game up
and
until.
and it reminded me of that.
Yeah.
You know, it reminded me of that, and I love that game.
But
and,
the writing's fantastic.
Yeah.
The fan service is just next level. Like the nods, the B and C list characters that get little cameos or mentions.
That beatdown and the raft as well was great.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So good.
Dr. Octopus revealed as well. Ooh, like
Heartbreaking.
I got a little twitch when Dr. Octopus said he'd always known
Yeah.
that Peter Parker was Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Spoilers, but
But they build that relationship so effectively because if you know who Spider-Man is, you know who Otto Octavius is.
Yeah.
So from the moment you find out that he's his lab assistant and you're kind of meeting with him every couple of hours, you're going back to the lab and doing whatever. And you ultimately know where this is going to wind up. And, you know, the reveal that he's got this degenerative disease and that he's incredibly stressed because they might shut down his research and everything else. And you see it spool up.
yeah.
And you really feel for the dude. Like, they make him a sympathetic character.
Yeah.
You know, what he does ultimately is not something that you can be
Get
sympathetic towards.
No.
But they go a great way into making you care about this character and his relationship with Peter. And it makes that battle and the fallout from it all
Emotional
more
weight and
powerful.
just that ending as well.
Oh, good grief,
Absolutely.
yeah. Spoilers, Peter dies. May does. But May does.
Yeah. So
And
she
you just...
does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any criticisms of the game?
I think
I think the enemies.
It sometimes
become
feels a
very
little
samey.
samey.
Yeah.
The gameplay
Yeah.
loop gets a little bit like, you know, kind of doing like
You got
like
the towers again. As
you got
well.
the towers,
Yeah.
which is fine, but like Harry's research labs are kind of effectively
Oof,
four.
they were the most painful part
They're
of
like
the game, I
four
think.
different mini games that you just have to do over and over
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Some of Taskmaster's stuff got a little bit, you know, it seemed like they broke all of these pieces up into separate, you know, characters or whatever, and the mini games within that. But then it didn't feel like they were different enough each time. It felt like there were a couple of different bits.
DLC was alright then.
Yeah, I still need to finish the
It's
DLC.
good, yeah.
It's got a black cat in it.
But yeah, I'm all for Black Cat. I'm all for a bit of Felicia
The
Hardy.
fighting was great fun in it as well.
Yeah, the combat.
It was
It's
really
one of
good.
those games that was kind of it wouldn't have existed if Arkham City.
wasn't
and
the
Arkham
Arkham
Asylum.
games.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a game that should get an honourable mention itself, even though Asylum is 2009. I
Yeah,
think.
City.
City was 2011, I think, and then
Yes.
Night was
I
2015.
did love City. It was almost in the top 5. Almost.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it would only be right to say, you know, that was an incredibly important game of the generation as well, because its impact on games is, you can't ignore it. It's just there to see, especially in games like Spider-Man and things like that. The combat style, that free flow combat thing has to lesser or greater extent like implemented in so many other games. You know, it feels like the evolution of the QTE thing, where like, you know, you're basically button mashing, but you can either button mash or you can do more timed things, or you can build combo meters, which then allow you to execute other moves and things like that.
Yeah,
and Spider-Man builds on that really, really well. Very good game. Yeah, cool. What's number 1 for you then, Matthew?
Oh, it was Red Dead.
Oh, of course it was.
Yeah.
So that's it. We've done it
We're
all.
done.
Then. Yeah, cool. I think other games.
It was almost anticlimactic.
Other games that none of us play as such, but I think are worth recognising. Fortnite has just become huge in the past few years, and
It was actually Drew's favourite, but I told him to scrub it.
I'm flossing as we record this. I've been flossing for the past hour and a half.
Yeah,
Just don't
absolutely
stop.
shattered.
Yeah, I mean, it's a game that I played about half an hour of, and it was the first video game I've ever played where I felt like an old man.
Yeah.
Because I jumped out the bus and I landed, and then I was just murdered by someone. Yeah. So I started again, and then I just ran to a house, and then didn't quite know what to do at the house.
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Fuck, I'm a old dude now. I don't understand these video games anymore." No. It is not for me, but it is for a lot of people. And what's crazy is, it came out after PUBG, and everyone was like, "What is this fucking PUBG knockoff?" That they're, you know, like it's, you know, I cannot believe that they're so blatantly ripping it off, and it's never going to take off. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is clearly the king of the battle royale thing, and I know people still play PUBG, but Fortnite is ubiquitous at this point. You know, T-shirts in Primark.
It has eclipsed it.
It is crazy, and you know the money they're making is absolutely bonkers as well.
So much so that they've got their own store now as well.
Yeah,
they give away games each week. Or
they do, and you know it is nuts. Not something I'm ever going to be interested in, but
no, me neither. Too chaotic, too much.
It's a crazy thing that has just become so huge. Another one is Minecraft.
Yeah.
Still has an incredibly strong player base, but you know Matt and I know from working where we do, there was a good number of years where you just could not push Minecraft merchandise out the door quickly enough. Everyone was obsessed with it.
I played it for a bit.
Yeah,
I played Minecraft.
Well, my wife still plays it intermittently now.
Yeah.
And a lot of other people do. It still gets updated really regularly. I think there was a Frozen 2 texture pack that came out not that long ago. You know, it is just non-stop, and it's used in schools as like an educational thing, as a programming analogy. You know, they provide like educational services editions of Minecraft to certain areas of the US and things.
And we don't know who created it either.
No,
it's a mystery.
Yeah, no knowledge of what goes on there at all, and certainly I imagine the person who did create it is an upstanding individual who worked entirely by himself and has only ever been pleasant to people. And but we'll go into that maybe another time.
He's got a lot of money.
You what?
Do you reckon he's got a lot of money?
I think he did all right from it. Yeah. I mean, it's wholly owned by Microsoft now, isn't it? Now. And I think that was the first instance of Microsoft going, "Do you guys want this?" Because that came out on the Switch, and then they've since kind of created this relationship with Nintendo where they're like, "Do you want Cuphead?
Yeah.
Have some Cuphead. Do you want Ori and the Blind Forest? There you go. Have a bit of that." That's a game that deserves an honourable mention. That's a fantastic
Ori
game.
and the Blind Forest is great,
Really looking forward to Will of the Wisps, there was one or two others as well that I think we should just touch on very, very briefly. I realise we've been talking forever. Dark Souls.
Yeah, I don't care for the
I
Souls
don't care
genre.
for it either, but again, when you're talking ubiquity in computer games, it is the standard for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It is the comparison for a lot of people.
Dark Souls reminds me of a girl I once dated who boasted to a bunch of random men about getting every achievement for Dark Souls, and that kind of lines with my hatred of the series as well.
Enough. Perhaps slightly coloured by that then. Yeah, they are. As a bad gamer, I will never be able to get good at that.
Yeah.
I've tried to play Bloodborne and I've tried to play Dark Souls 3, and I get about an hour into it before I just go, this isn't for me. I don't understand what
I like to enjoy my video games, not
yeah,
punish myself.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, I don't have that masochistic element
Yeah.
that makes me want to just die over and over again.
Yeah.
I get why there's a sector of people that like it. I get why it's been so influential in terms of like its combat style and things like that. You played Fallen Order and really liked it, and that has a lot of Souls-like elements to it.
Because I'm a pro elite gamer.
Well,
I did actually drop the difficulty down.
Yeah.
To enjoy it a bit more. But
baby
that
mode.
was that was a solid game, to be honest.
Yeah. It will let you drop the difficulty down, but it doesn't let you continue to play the game unless you put an adult nappy on and a dummy in your mouth.
that's correct.
And that's how you have to complete
Actually,
the game.
honourable mention for me, the Doom series by Bethesda
Fair enough.
is pretty solid, and Wolfenstein.
I hear the new one's a sack of shit though.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not great. Not great, not terrible.
But yeah, it's id Software, isn't it, that do the decent Bethesda stuff?
Yes, it is. Yeah, and the first Wolfenstein, if you've not played it, it is
Again.
solid writing. I mean, it's over the top, but it manages to balance that kind of crude humour with really horrible dramatic scenes at the same time really well. The sequel, it tried. I think it was a lot to live up to.
Is that New Colossus?
New Colossus, yeah. It was. I don't know if it was. Was it New Colossus? I can't. Regardless, anyway.
Youngblood's the newest one. Isn't
Yes.
it?
But I think it was just too short for me, to be honest. And I'm looking forward to the new Doom when it comes
Eternal,
out in
yeah.
March.
I think it's all on Game Pass as well, or the Wolfenstein games are.
No, have you not played them?
I've played Wolfenstein, as in like 2009, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'd like to go in on the newer ones. I've got them downloaded on my Xbox, kind of ready to go. But as I'm ass deep in The Witcher at the moment, I'm up to my elbows in Drowners and Rock Fiends and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So I'll get to it at some point. But yeah, they look really cool. The last one that I wanted to mention, and it falls into that. Is it a video game category? But I think we have to talk about it. Is Pokemon Go.
Yeah. That beautiful moment, that fortnight of peace.
Yeah.
Where
everyone was just out walking.
That was beautiful, and like you'd see old people in queues playing it and having a great time together.
Just random people, just meeting up and having a quick chat whilst they were like, at a gym battle or something like that. And it's one of those ones that continually is updated. Still has a fairly strong community. Like I fell off it super quick because it was a mobile thing, and it was also exercise. And Jesus Christ. But you'll get those like Sundays where I'm walking through town and there's just like two dudes with like two iPads and a phone just like walking around like picking up candies and all
wires
that sort of
hanging
stuff.
off them
into the power banks.
Have you seen the crowds of people in town whenever there's an event as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like 20 to 25 people
and
just walking about on their phones.
And I think it's fucking awesome that it's still kind of got that going for it.
Yeah, it's still got a nice little community.
The money they made was
insane,
beyond crazy.
Which is annoying because they didn't do enough. Because like when it first came out, there were so many issues with it that if they would have improved on those issues, I probably would have stuck with it, to be honest.
So that was the summer of 2016 where like my lunch breaks at work, instead of just sitting in the dingy office, I would go over to the fountain in town and I would sit in the sunshine because there was a lure there and a poker stop or whatever the fuck they were called, and I would just sit there for half an hour and I'd enjoy the sun, and like maybe someone would come up to you and sit down next to you and I'd be like, oh, go away. But
you see people wearing different teams on their t-shirts,
right? Yeah, and there was genuine sort of animosity, and there were stories about people like physically chasing off other people who were trying to win gyms for their team.
I've been on a night out before. I just started attacking some gym, and the guys, oi, who are you? And I'd be like, this team, and we're Team Instinct. Fuck off. Just like, Jesus.
So a positive game for the community.
But I said it was a blissful time.
But again, it was Nintendo going casual market. Like they did with the Wii, back in 2006. they just know how to mine this vein of casual players who aren't necessarily going to be buying a Switch and a copy of Pokemon Sword and Shield, but you drop a free game on their phone and they will fucking run outside, spend 15 quid on coins or whatever it is that you have to buy in that game. And yeah, it was great. It was a really fun time and a very important piece of kind of video game history, I think. People will talk about later, because it was just kind of it was a real rise in mobile gaming in the West, at least. I know, like Japan and China, they've been all about mobile gaming for years, to the point that they kind of make more revenue on that stuff than they do on console sales for the most part.
And anything's great if it upsets Fox News.
Well, that's it.
So many funny stories that came out around it as well.
Brilliant.
Oh yeah, people just like walking into swimming pools and stuff because they were not looking where they were going.
Gal finds body.
Yeah,
searching for Squirtle.
Searching for Squirtle. Great.
Aren't we all?
And on that note, folks, thank you for listening. Jesus Christ, we've run over on this one, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you agree, if you disagree, if you've got thoughts, if you want to tell us what your favourite games of the decade were.
Don't bother.
No.
Gamers are opinionated lots.
Yeah.
So.
They are. Well, I don't care. Get in touch. Let's have a bit of discourse on some of the social media. You can find us on Facebook, search Gachapod. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram as well. We always update when we've got new episodes and things coming out. I need to try and be interactive with that a little bit more. We need to try and build it into a bit more of a community, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
But you know, the best way to do that is to jump on there and have a word about why we were wrong.
Download Pokemon Go and we'll meet you in the park in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, there you go. We'll set up a community event. We'll let you know when.
But we won't actually fight you with Pokemon. We'll just fight you.
We'll just come at you with a stick.
We'll call it Gacha Pokemon. No, sorry.
No.
On that note, see ya.
Bye. See you next time.
In a bit.